For many weeks now, we've been telling you, the mainstream legacy media, the drive-bys are lying to you about the Mandalorian and Grogu. That box office could go very low. Well, it turns out not even we knew how low it might go, and now the numbers, the projections being presented as we launch into theaters, oh my, oh dear, Disney, this is bad. This is real bad. What a day, folks. What a day, and welcome back. The news is happening. It's on fire. Get ready, because as we go into the weekend, the Mandalorian and Grogu box office is not going higher. It is looking dire at Disney. Click the like button. Let's dive into the latest. The projections, they're bad. Catastrophic, that's what we're calling it. The Mandalorian and Grogu is feeling very blue right now. Now, I'm going to give you my commentary on this before I show you the original statement made by Star Wars Holocron. It says, this is horrible. The film has a budget of $165 million, but a likely advertising spend of $200. Break even, therefore, is probably $600 million after tax credits in California. Now, how do we arrive at that? Folks, if you've watched the channel, you know 165 plus 200. Let's make the math easy. Let's make it be 150. That gets us to 350, right? 150 plus 200, 350. And then we assume, because that would be 700 if you doubled it, and well, they need to, but we assume that there are tax credits from California, drop it to 600. And here's why that's bad, okay? If we look at Star Wars Holocron, they're trying to make this seem, out of Deadline, like this is a real win. And I can't stand when they do this. Well, except that it gives us the opportunity to rub their snouts in it. Here's the deal. It's projected to make 160 worldwide in its opening weekend. True, the film cost 165 to make. No, it did not. One, that is the budget. That's not the spend. Two, you're not including advertising, which is a bunch. Three, taxes and theaters get half of that. So no, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. It never has. However, Deadline is reporting on this now, and that's where they're getting this number, right? So Deadline is saying the number is going to be what did we say? You know what? We should just find out. Let's go there. 160. Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu hopes to hyperspace to 160 global opening over Memorial Day weekend. Anthony D'Alessandro writing this. Here's the problem, okay? The problem is that Sean Robbins out of Box Office Theory has already said this has a 2.25 leg out. Now, we had assumed it was going to be a 1-to-1 international to domestic. And if it was going to open to 100 million, which is what they're still predicting over the 4-day, we thought 200 million was going to be what it would do international, domestic. We call that the worldwide. It's 40 million short. So if this has a 2.25 leg out on a 160, okay, which is what this seems like now, right? So if we do a 2.25 leg out, we are easily sub 400 million. Yep. We are way below. Culture, you take it first, man. The media, I'm kind of sickened by the fact they're going to try to spin this for a positive. This is crazy. This is terrible.
Yeah, actually, and what's funny is the first video up for me tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. Pacific, is this subject matter. The fact that this is being misrepresented in a way that I think Antony should do better at going forward, because 160 million, maybe if it does well. Even Box Office Theory is overestimating what this thing could make it over the 4-day weekend. But again, this is a 4-day holiday weekend. It's supposed to be the kickoff of the summer movie season. This is supposed to do gangbusters, and it's not. I'm sorry, 80 million on a Star Wars movie. This thing is right in line with Solo, and I think it may finish up about where Solo finished up. I would say that they are praying that this doesn't completely fail. We'll know. By the time we get through Thursday previews and Friday box office estimates, we're going to know whether or not this is going to fall short over the 4-day, and I am anticipating that it does. I think
Saturday morning. Saturday morning is when we're going to know, because I think they're going to slow walk this, but Saturday morning, about 11 a.m. for those who want to know, 11 a.m. Eastern. And we're in a strange territory here. We're walking a strange path because, okay, here's the deal. I know that we have talked about how badly this might do. I know we've been on that edge of it, right, where people say, oh, come on, guys, it's a Star Wars movie. It can't do that badly. We're now in a territory where it's doing worse than we predicted. So I don't know what to do with that anymore, okay? We were wrong, but not in the way that everybody thought we might be. That Park Place, I wrote this earlier today just to show you. The Mandalorian and Grogu face a steep challenge to break into Jon Favreau's top 5 box office films. Okay? Now, what I talk about in this article, I recommend people go read it, is Jon Favreau's top 5, adjusted for inflation, what does that look like? The Lion King, $2.17 billion. Okay? The Jungle Book, $1.31 billion. Iron Man, $974 million. Remember, we're adjusting for inflation because that's actually fair. That's how we do this, apples to apples. Iron Man 2, $890 million. Elf, adjusted for inflation, $445 million. We are now at a point, and I said in the thing that it might be able to beat Elf. I thought it could beat Elf. I explained in here how it would be able to take on Elf. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I said our best analysis is that the film is likely to have a 1-to-1 box office share between domestic and international, which would indicate a $200 million global opening with a 2.25 leg out. No, it's not going to do it. They're already telling us it's at 160. It's at 160. And folks, we recommend you go read this too on That Park Place by Marvin Montanaro. How much money does the Mandalorian and Grogu actually need to break even? It breaks this down for you. It is not silly 165 numbers. That's ridiculous. Atreus, how in the world have we arrived at a place where we're the boo birds sometimes, right? We're the negativos, and we didn't go this low.
I mean, it was actually pretty shocking to me because I thought the one positive thing that came out of anything Star Wars these last few years was The Mandalorian. And, I liked the first 2 seasons, and what they did with the 3rd season. I just think you're just dealing with a generation of people who are just straight up ignoring Star Wars. When you have a nucleus of a fan base that you've ignored for a great amount of time, they're not preaching to the up and coming generations about how great Star Wars is anymore. As a matter of fact, they're doing the complete opposite. They're laughing at you. And I've seen, it was one exec from out of Hollywood who was talking about how people are having more fun watching videos talking about Star Wars than they are actually watching Star Wars, which says something like that means Gen Z is growing up on watching videos making fun of how bad Star Wars is as opposed to watching it. Think about that compared to like even my father or my grandfather who grew up going to see this stuff in theaters. Is really tragic to see, considering that Star Wars was one of the greatest or one of the highest grossing intellectual properties, not just movies, not just video games or anything, but one of the highest grossing intellectual properties ever, up there with Hello Kitty and Pokemon and stuff like that. And now there's more money to be made starting a YouTube channel and making fun of Star Wars than it is actually making Star Wars films. And at this point, somebody said to me a few years ago that they think Star Wars is, well, no, everybody said a few years ago that Star Wars was dead. And, I always was like, I don't know, it can't be dead, right? Well,
it just can't be. It just can't be, Atreus.
I don't know now.
Exactly. And here's the deal. $360 million on Memorial Day weekend. It's not going to get the 360, but I mean, to get this low, 160 on the international, the global, the worldwide, oh my gosh, this is so much worse than we thought. And I'm not trying to pile drive them. I'm not trying to dogpile. I'm just, Lauren, you were right and I was wrong. I think you're the only one who went this low out of all of us, which really says something because you're always defending, that Star Wars can be resurrected, revivified. I don't know anymore. 360 for the projected total box office. And it could get worse. It's nowhere even close to Elf in terms of Jon Favreau's box office.
Yeah, I think they got a bunch of problems that they're facing right now. And part of the reason that I went this low is because I figured that the negative buzz was already so high that most people are just going to say, I'm not going to pay money for this. I'm going to wait for it to go onto streaming. So that's your first problem. The other problems are the ones that Atreus just hit on, which are that worse than apathy in a way is that to the younger generation, it is deeply uncool now to be interested in Star Wars. Worse than apathy is mockery. And so you've lost the younger generation because now it's only cool to make fun of how terrible it's gotten. And you actively angered the older generation. I was in a conversation on Twitter today where somebody was saying, look, if you want to get good Star Wars again, you've got to support this thing. And my response was, we will get good Star Wars again when they start giving us the product we want. We are the customers. And if you're not serving the customers, then the market will react. It does not work the other way around. They're perfectly capable of giving us what they want. They have actively decided not to. So now they've entered into the Bud Light Target territory where we are actively punishing them for telling us that we're going to take what they give us and like it. We're showing them you actually rely on us, not the other way around.
All right, let's talk about the fallout from this then. We've got Starfighter, and we're also talking about other stuff that we now believe is coming from Lucasfilm. We've got a better idea of what's on the way, I believe, and we'll talk about that. What is the fallout if this flops that hard? Like, how does the media react? What happens behind the scenes at Lucasfilm? What do you guys think occurs here? Because I don't believe they ever thought that it could go this low under Jon Favreau. They are deer in headlights as of right now, I believe.
I think in a way they were deer in headlights with Acolyte. That was when they first panicked. This is beyond the 5-star or the 5-alarm fire alert going out. I agree with you. I don't think that they expected this for this movie. I think they started to be afraid of it, especially around the time of the Super Bowl ad. That was when they desperately needed to pivot on the marketing. But by then it was too late. They had already locked in what the movie was going to be, and there wasn't much that they could do. So I think that they're in an awful place now.
Lauren, this feels to me like, you tell me, like, I feel like I'm in a Far Side comic right now. This is like the mortician in the morgue. Somebody running in and saying, we've lost Johnson. He's dead. He's dead. And the mortician says, well, everybody here is dead. What are you talking about? No, he died again. That's possible. What are you talking about? Like, this is where we are. It's like, okay, you managed to double die somehow. Like the Acolyte and now this is amazing, but not in any good way. And I worry actually at this point that, you know, Lucasfilm is, I know it's a hive of villainy, but it could get disbanded. I don't know if you break it off into its parts. Maybe you give Star Wars to somebody else. Maybe you third party this thing for the foreseeable future. Maybe that's the case.
I don't know if they're smart enough to do that. If they want to succeed, that's the smartest thing that they could do. But they'd have to license it carefully. It would have to. Honestly, this is where I think Atreus would really be weighing in, because I think gaming is where you start. That's your safest place to start. And I think of the products that have come out under Disney, one that I think is pretty much universally liked is Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. So I don't know what you think about that, Atreus.
I actually think that's on the money. It's not just Jedi Survivor that's loved. I mean, practically except for Star Wars Outlaws. Ignore that. But everything before that, even the controversial Star Wars Battlefront games from EA, while they did have controversy, people love the gameplay so much so that every year it seems that Battlefront, despite being like, how old is that game, chat? Almost 10 years old. Yeah. People go back and still play it. All of a sudden the player base jumps and people are trying to get Battlefront 3 made. So we recently had an announcement of another Knights of the Old Republic, which is a video gamer's rite of passage. You have to play that game. But when you think about the history of Star Wars video games, it hasn't really been that many bad ones. Even the ones that didn't sell well, like what was it recently? Star Wars Quadrants, the ones where
Squadrons, yeah.
Squadrons, that one didn't sell well, but it was still a good game. I think you're right in that the smart play might be to put the movies on ice for a little bit and let the video games shine and then build up good equity that way. It also might be to just take the Disney brand off of Star Wars in general.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. I think they need to reinvigorate the 20th Century Fox brand and slap that on there with the old music and title plate, and tie Lucasfilm in after that, and then go right into the whatever it is they're making. I think that the initial feedback on this, and it was brutal, If you read it all today. When Kotaku is kicking your butt on how bad this movie is, you got problems.
Wow.
But yeah, but I was looking at it and I'm thinking the some of the criticism that they're throwing out there is accurate. This is small screen vibes on a big screen. That doesn't work, especially if you're going to do it in these giant, PLFs. I think these PLFs are going to really expose it for just how half effort was put into these things.
Yeah.
And again, at this point, isn't Pedro Pascal just a glorified voice actor? I mean, he's not really delivering anything. Grogu's boring, and I can't imagine a story that's going to be compelling that's going to bring fans back. I was set up to see this in a PLF tomorrow, a big one, one of the giant screenings, and with the best sound and everything. And you know what? I just decided I'm going to go to the local digital. I'm going to go a lot earlier in the day and just get it out of the way. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but I'm not inspired to spend money on Star Wars, and that includes the games. I think I think Disney at every point has devalued things by slapping a Disney minus label on it. And I think that the minute you go to TV, you've devalued the magic that it was the theatrical experience. That goes for both Marvel and for Star Wars. But yeah, I think Outlaws was the most embarrassing thing ever at Trace. And I was like, the shills, the video that Pro has that shows off the shills is still one of the best clip cuts I've ever seen.
Well, I would actually say, I mean, you hit a double whammy on that one that brought a thought that I never even thought of. You talk about the devaluing of the product by putting it on TV, and then you couple that with literally training your audience to just wait for stuff to come out on Disney Plus. That's a double whammy right there. I never thought of it from that point of view. So,
well, I'll tell you guys too, my fear here is that after tomorrow, I'm afraid I'm going to dislike Jon Favreau in the way that Lorne is starting to, because when I listen to Chris Gore say that it's sloppy, it's lazy, and it's flat, and that's the visuals, I say, oh no, not Jon Favreau. But because of all this, that box office could go even lower than the 360 they're calling for. Look out. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. That's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so, to be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.